What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? I'm Ketui, and welcome back to the channel. The Kansas City Chiefs are charging into the 2025 season with a singular goal: erase the sting of their Super Bowl 59 heartbreak and reassert their dominance atop the AFC. With Patrick Mahomes orchestrating a high-powered offense and Andy Reid engineering the game plan, the expectations aren't just high, they're skybound. But even dynasties forged in fire must adapt. Takes more than star power. It demands a blend of late-round sleepers, first-round blue chippers, and seasoned veterans to craft a championship-caliber squad. Intrigue is mounting. Secrets are simmering beneath the surface. Every roster move could tilt the scales. Let's break down the most electrifying developments coming out of Kansas City over the last 24 hours. Before we dive in, I've got one quick ask. If you enjoy our content, drop a like. That's a small click that makes a big difference and helps keep this community thriving. We appreciate your support more than you know. Now, back to the action. Few NFL storylines captivate fans like a late-round gem defying the odds, and Brazard Smith is writing that script in bold ink. The Chiefs made 7 selections in the 2025 draft, but it's the 7th rounder from rural North Carolina who's turning heads and redefining expectations. Originally a college wideout, Smith's transition to running back has sparked serious excitement inside the building. From the second he stepped into the offseason weight room, his sub-4.4 speed, crisp route running, and natural ball security instincts began separating him from the pack. At rookie minicamp, he glided through gaps with ease. During OTAs, he ran surgical routes and caught everything thrown his way. His energy, relentless. His execution, veteran level. By the time conditioning drills wrapped, Smith looked less like a prospect and more like a polished pro. Andy Reid isn't known for dishing out unearned praise, so when he said, "I like what he does," he's got good speed, and he's a good route runner for a running back. These OTAs are tough, but he's done a good job with everything we've asked. It meant something. These aren't generic coach speak compliments, they're signals. Signals that Smith may be carving out a serious role behind Isaiah Pacheco, who enters 2025 on a 1-year prove-it deal. Smith offers versatility galore. Jet sweeps, inside bursts, slot mismatches, and even special teams electricity. Picture Mahomes on 3rd and short, glancing towards Smith in the flat, or splitting him out wide to exploit mismatches. If this offseason surge carries into live action, Kansas City may have struck late-round gold. And in Andy Reid's laboratory of offensive innovation, Smith could very well become the next secret weapon. Proof that game changers aren't always found in round 1. Meanwhile, in the trenches, where games are truly won, Kansas City's offensive line is at a pivotal juncture. Last season, the Chiefs masked O-line inconsistencies with creative play calling, but those cracks shattered under the Super Bowl spotlight. Protection failed, the offense stalled. The loss was decisive and revealing. Determined to rebuild the wall, the Chiefs made bold offseason moves. They signed veteran tackle Jaylen to a 2-year, $30 million, 0-cents deal and invested their first-round pick in Josh Simmons, a once top-tier prospect whose stock slid after a patellar tendon tear. Now, the battle for the blind side has ignited, a 3-man war set to rage through training camp. According to NFL insider Michael Silver, there could be 3 legit position battles on Kansas City's offensive line this summer. Only center Creed Humphrey and Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith are locked into starting roles. Left guard Mike Caliendo and others? Their spots are anything but secure. Right tackle Jawan Taylor may find himself relegated to backup duty when the Chiefs open their 2025 campaign. From Creed Humphrey, the rock of Andy Reid's zone-blocking scheme, and Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith, who notably skipped OTAs amid ongoing contract negotiations, there are no guaranteed starters on the offensive line. Left guard Mike Caliendo and Taylor, despite their experience, are now hearing unsettling murmurs about their future as second-year tackle Kingsley Suamataia steadily climbs the depth chart with each rep. But the real spotlight is fixed on Jaylen Moore and Josh Simmons, now locked in a high-stakes duel that could reverberate well beyond the September 5th season opener in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Lurking beneath the surface is a complex financial chess match. Jawan Taylor carries a massive $27 million cap hit in 2025, making him a prime candidate for trade or release by 2026. Meanwhile, Moore's escalating contract over $18 million, 0 cents next season, virtually cements his roster spot barring catastrophic underperformance. Should Simmons seize the left tackle position, Moore would pivot to the right, effectively pushing Taylor into a backup role. The end result? Kansas City could enter the season with two highly paid linemen standing on the sidelines. This seismic reshuffling, driven by hefty contracts, elite rookie talent, and win-now urgency, will determine whether Mahomes can operate without a constant blindside threat. The pressure is mounting. Every snap this summer counts. Every rep is under the microscope. And reputations? They're hanging by a thread. Just as the Moore versus Simmons clash appeared locked in stalemate, ESPN's Adam Teicher dropped a bombshell. If Josh Simmons passes his medical recheck, he's expected to start at left tackle in Week 1. This revelation sent shockwaves through the fan base. Handing a rookie fresh off a torn patellar tendon the keys to Mahomes' blindside is a bold gamble. Patellar injuries are notoriously difficult for big linemen to recover from. Yet Teicher's sources suggest Simmons not only looks fully healed, but has impressed coaches with both power and knee stability during OTAs. A 21-year-old post-injury rookie potentially anchoring the most important position on the line? That's unheard of, and yet here we are. If Simmons does secure the job, Moore's journey pivots, either sliding to right tackle or warming the bench. This shift puts the spotlight back on Jawan Taylor. After a season marred by penalties and a lackluster Super Bowl showing, he now faces a make-or-break audition to justify his 4-year, $80 million 0 cents deal. Youth versus experience, health versus contract, upside versus legacy. This is more than a camp battle, it's a career crossroads. But while internal wars rage on the offensive line, whispers from outside the building are growing louder. Analyst Anthony Palacios of Last Word on Sports has stirred debate with a provocative idea: trade for Raiders tight end Michael Mayer now, before Travis Kelce's twilight dims the offense. They were missing their two most explosive weapons for the majority of the season: Marquise Brown and Rashee Rice. These weren't just any receivers. They were the blueprint for a new era in KC's aerial assault, set to take the offense back to peak Tyreek Hill-level dominance. But instead of fireworks, we got silence. Just 4 combined games of action from Brown and Rice. Imagine removing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins from the Bengals for a full season, or CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks from the Cowboys. That's what Kansas City endured, and still made a Super Bowl run. But here's where it gets spine-tingling. While the NFL was prematurely writing the Chiefs' obituary, something extraordinary was happening behind the curtain. These guys didn't sulk. They grinded. They trained. They prepared to return with vengeance. Rashee Rice? On a mission. Reports out of camp say he looks faster, sharper, and more dialed in than ever before. That hunger you only get from being counted out? He's got it. Hollywood Brown, torch mode. He's been lighting up minicamp, burning DBs, turning slants into 6 points, and looking every bit like the deep threat assassin the Chiefs envisioned. He's healthy, focused, and ready to remind the league who he is. And then there's the quiet storm, Xavier Worthy. A breakout late in his rookie campaign, this kid's rise has been electric. With elite raw talent, relentless work ethic, and growing chemistry with Mahomes, he's quickly becoming the X factor no one saw coming. Now combine all three: Rice, precise Rootner, with glue hands Brown, explosive vertical threat who forces safeties to sweat, Worthy, ascending star with limitless upside. You've got a WR trio that can attack from every angle, a three-headed monster built to annihilate any defense. And it's not just hype. Former Chiefs wideout Garrick Dieter recently declared on social media, hard to name a better WR trio right now than what the Chiefs have. The dynasty isn't dying, it's evolving. So to every defensive coordinator, in the NFL. You better study the tape, say a prayer, and brace yourself, because the Kansas City Chiefs are about to unleash an offensive onslaught that'll make 2018 look like a warm-up. When a former player, someone who's lived inside the system, breathed the culture, and earned his stripes, makes a statement like that, you better believe it's coming from a place of authentic insight. But here's what elevates this moment into something truly electrifying. We're not just talking about a top-tier trio of receivers. Oh no, this depth chart runs dangerously deep. Enter Juju Smith-Schuster, a battle-tested veteran with championship DNA and an undeniable clutch gene. Add to that Jaylen Royals, a stealth weapon quietly sharpening his game behind the scenes. And of course, you cannot forget Travis Kelce, the ageless maestro of tight end excellence, arguably the greatest to ever play the position. What Kansas City has built is more than a receiving core. It's an arsenal of offensive versatility, an embarrassment of riches most teams can only fantasize about. Most franchises would kill to have one of these playmakers as their WR1. The Chiefs have 5? Maybe 6. Who could easily be the focal point on any other roster. That's not luck. That's elite roster construction, the kind that builds dynasties. Now, let's talk about Mahomes. This is where the real fireworks begin. You're talking about a generational quarterback, a 2-time Super Bowl champion and multiple-time MVP who has already carved his name into the stone of greatness. But imagine what happens when you surround that level of talent with this kind of weaponry. Let's be honest, Mahomes spent the majority of last season pulling off miracles with receivers who, through no fault of their own, were being forced into roles they weren't built for due to injuries across the board. And yet, he still kept this team in the fight. He still willed the offense forward. He still found a way to win. But now we're entering a completely different reality, one where Mahomes isn't scrambling to compensate, but instead commanding a fully loaded offensive juggernaut. He's got precision route runners, elite vertical threats, and young, explosive talent at every tier of the field. OC Matt Nagy has already declared that the Chiefs are bringing back the deep ball in 2025, and now we understand why. Brown stretches the field with breakaway speed. Rice slices up zones with clinical precision. Worthy breaks ankles after the catch and turns routine plays into highlight reels. This trio gives Kansas City the power to attack every inch of the field. Short, intermediate, deep, sideline, seam. Name the area, they own it. And what's even more terrifying? It's the synergy. These aren't just talented players, they're complementary assassins. Brown draws the safeties back, Rice eats up the underneath routes. You try to bracket Kelce, that leaves Worthy isolated with space. Game over. We play press and try to bring pressure. Mahomes drops it over the top like a dagger. It's a chessboard of chaos, and the Chiefs are holding every major piece. The psychological edge. Let's not overlook the mental warfare. When opposing teams study the Chiefs' depth chart, they won't just see 2 threats. They'll see a legion. Defensive backs are going to walk into Arrowhead with wide eyes and heavy nerves, knowing they're outgunned before the ball is even snapped. And here's the hidden blessing. Last season's injuries, as devastating as they were, they've forged a fire in these players that can't be manufactured. Rashee Rice is coming back with a vengeance, determined to pick up right where his breakout left off. See, when you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you've scaled the NFL summit multiple times, every decision is scrutinized under a microscope. Like an insect pinned in a lab, every draft pick, every free agent signing, every trade, it all matters because the margin for error narrows to razor-thin levels when you're trying to sustain greatness. And that's precisely where we find ourselves today, discussing a move that could define the next decade of Chiefs football. The 2025 NFL Draft came and went, and while most fans were laser-focused on the flashy top picks, something intriguing was brewing down at pick number 32. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pick 32? That's just the last pick of the first round? What's the big deal? Let me tell you. That mindset is exactly why so many people miss the forest for the trees when it comes to constructing championship rosters. True dynasties aren't built on just the top 5 picks that everybody obsesses over on social media. They're forged in the fire of identifying hidden gems where others see risk, spotting raw talent where others see question marks, and having the guts to make bold decisions when the stakes are sky high. And that's precisely what Kansas City did when they stepped up to the podium and announced their selection. The name that echoed through the draft was Josh Simmons, an offensive tackle from Ohio State University. Now, before you roll your eyes and mutter, another offensive lineman, how thrilling, let me break down why this pick could either be the steal of the draft or the haunting misstep that shadows this franchise for years. First off, let's talk about what Ohio State has been producing lately in the trenches. We're talking about a veritable factory of NFL-ready talent. These aren't just big bodies filling space. They're polished, technically sound, fundamentally disciplined players who grasp the intricacies of pass protection and run blocking at the elite level. When you see that Ohio State logo next to a lineman's name, you'd better sit up straight. History shows that Columbus knows how to mold linemen into pros. But here's where it gets truly fascinating, and I need y'all to lock in because this is critical to understanding the gravity of this pick. Josh Simmons wasn't supposed to be on the board at pick 32. Hell, most draft experts graded him as a top 10 talent. Some even put him in the top 5. So what went wrong? How did a player with that kind of pedigree slip all the way to the tail end of the first round? The answer is one word that strikes terror into the hearts of general managers, coaches, and fans alike: injuries. Evaluating talent in the NFL isn't just about what a player can do when they're healthy. It's about projecting what they can contribute over the course of a grueling, punishing NFL career. And when you're a championship caliber team like Kansas City, every detail counts. Simmons had been battling injury concerns that caused scouts and front offices to pause. Questions that didn't necessarily take him off the board, but certainly forced teams to weigh the risk against the potential reward. And that's exactly the kind of high-stakes calculus that separates championship organizations from perennial underachievers. Now let's talk about Kansas City's specific situation, because context in the NFL is everything. The Chiefs have faced questions along their offensive line, particularly at the... Listen up, Chiefs Kingdom. Y'all think you know what's next for your beloved red and gold? Think again. This franchise just pulled a move that sent shockwaves through the entire NFL landscape, and I'm here to unpack exactly why this decision could propel Kansas City into an unstoppable dynasty or leave them vulnerable to a dramatic fall. Don't you dare scroll past this. Watch every second of this breakdown, smash that like button, drop a W in the comments if you believe in the Chiefs or an L if you've lost faith, and hit that subscribe button because what I'm about to reveal will forever transform how you see this team's future. Now let's dive deep into the heart of the matter. When you've got a generational quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the literal engine that powers your entire offense, protecting his blind side is absolutely paramount. We're not just talking about keeping him on his feet. We're talking about giving him the time and pocket space to make those jaw-dropping, highlight reel plays that have made him the face of the entire league. The left tackle position in the NFL is akin to being the Secret Service for the president. One slip up and the whole operation unravels. It's a role that demands a rare blend of size, athleticism, technique, and ironclad mental toughness. You're facing off against some of the most ferocious pass rushers on the planet, guys who've been honing their craft since childhood, and your singular mission is to ensure they don't get anywhere near your quarterback. Kelce, now 35 and coming off a career worst season, is seeking redemption after that Super Bowl beatdown by the Eagles. But with retirement looming, the Chiefs must begin planning for the future. Mayer, still raw but brimming with untapped potential, could thrive in Kansas City's elite ecosystem, yet the politics are tricky. Chiefs-Raiders trades are rare. AFC West foes rarely do business, let alone trade young offensive weapons. And while the tight end room boasts Noah Gray, Jarek Weil, and rookie Jake Briningstool, none possess Mayer's blend of youth and upside. Could Mayer truly be Kelce's heir? As that conversation simmers, an even bolder trade theory is beginning to boil. Kyle Pitts to Kansas City. That's right. According to KC Kingdom, The Chiefs could pursue a blockbuster deal to land the former Georgia phenom who's been underutilized in Atlanta's unpredictable offense. With 4.4 speed and elite athleticism, Pitts could unlock a new dimension in Reid's playbook. Writer Nick Halton calls it a one-year rental with generational upside. Picture this, pre-snap jumbo sets morphing into dynamic route combinations. Kelsey draws coverage, Smith leaks into space, and Pitts streaks down the seam, creating matchup nightmares and red zone chaos. Even in a rotation, Pitts' raw explosiveness would force defensive coordinators into difficult choices. But the price is steep, a day 2 draft pick, potentially mortgaging the future for a one-year shot at glory. But believing the risk is manageable and actually managing that risk are two entirely different challenges. This is where Kansas City's player development program and their track record with injury-prone players come into play. How effective have they been historically in handling players with similar medical red flags? How skilled is their training staff at keeping players healthy, game-ready, and on the field? These are the tough questions that don't always have clear answers, but they're absolutely pivotal in assessing whether this pick will help shape Kansas City's long-term success. Hollywood Brown has everything to prove. He's healthy, laser-focused, and ready to explode. Xavier Worthy, that man is starving to build on the buzz from the second half of his rookie year. You combine individual motivation with a shared hunger for another ring, you don't just get talent, you get relentless excellence. The timing is perfect. The Chiefs are coming off yet another Super Bowl run. The core of the roster is in its prime, and now this avalanche of offensive firepower is being reintegrated just as the rest of the league is struggling to keep pace. This is the rich getting richer. This is the king reclaiming the throne with reinforcements. Final word, Chiefs Kingdom. What we're witnessing isn't just a few stars coming back from injury. This is the evolution of an already championship caliber offense into something that could be historic. So let me ask you, are we looking at the most dangerous WR group in the NFL? Smash that like button. If you believe the Chiefs are about to break the league, drop a W in the comments if you're all in, and hit that subscribe button because we're going to cover every twist and turn of this run to another. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't just back, they're better than ever. He concluded his debut season with 59 receptions, 638 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Not only did he statistically lead the Chiefs' receiving corps, but he also became Mahomes' go-to target when the stakes were highest. Critics initially pigeonholed him as a gadget guy useful only in the run game. Mischaracterized as one-dimensional, but Worthy obliterated that narrative, proving he's not just a gadget, he's a weapon. With 98 targets, he wasn't just involved, he was indispensable. In his own words, Worthy called the close of his rookie campaign a launch pad, learning Mahomes' tendencies and building unshakable confidence. Heading into year 2, all signs point to a breakout season. Add in his rushing prowess, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5.2 yards per carry, and you've got one of the most dynamic offensive threats in the league. No more debate. Xavier Worthy is the real deal. But wait, there's a secret weapon about to make a name for himself, Jaylen Royals. Drafted in the 4th round out of Utah State, he enters this offense with a chip on his shoulder and everything to gain. In just 7 games last season, Royals put up video game numbers, 55 receptions, 834 yards, and 6 touchdowns, averaging over 15 yards per catch. Only 3 drops total. Scouts rave about his prowess against zone defenses, his silky smooth route running, and his fearlessness in traffic. NFL analyst Lance Zierlein described him as a receiver with elite body control and exceptional play strength, capable of lining up both inside and out. He's the kind of guy who could surpass Sky Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster on the depth chart in a hurry. But this is bigger than individual performances. It's about the collective unit. And for the first time since the Tyreek Hill era, the Chiefs' vertical passing game is roaring back to life. Patrick Mahomes completed just 29.6% of his deep passes last season, but when he did connect, it was devastating. 589 yards and 6 touchdowns on just 16 completions. Pro Football Focus awarded him an 87.9 grade for deep passing. And now, with this arsenal, he's primed to push that number even higher. Hollywood Brown brings blazing speed, Rice brings physicality and explosiveness, Worthy brings precision and versatility, and Royals brings downfield dominance and reliable hands. And while defenses have adjusted, they haven't seen this. 3 high safety looks designed to neutralize the deep ball will pose a dilemma for defenses in 2025. Who do you cover? If you retreat too far, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray will carve you up underneath. Press too tightly and Mahomes will torch you deep. With a receiving core that's not just explosive, but multi-dimensional, the Chiefs' offense could metamorphose into something we haven't witnessed since their legendary 201-8-2-0-1-9 run. Speaking of Gray, don't overlook the tight end depth. Noah Gray emerged last season as a legitimate weapon, 40 receptions, 437 yards, and 5 touchdowns, surpassing Kelce and Worthy in yards per reception at an impressive 10.9. Multi-tick-down games, he had them. He's not just Kelce's understudy anymore. He's a threat in his own right. So here's the question, Chiefs Kingdom. If this unit stays healthy and continues its upward trajectory, could we be witnessing the most formidable receiving group of the Mahomes era, post-Tyreek Hill? Could Rice ascend to top 10 status? Could Worthy elevate himself to elite WR1 levels? Could Royals shock the league and carve out a major role? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've set the stage with a revitalized receiving core and early indications of a return to vertical dominance, let's delve deeper into the underlying transformation and why 2025 might be the most strategically dangerous iteration of the Chiefs we've seen under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. One major development is Mahomes' own evolution. Early in his career, he was renowned for his highlight reel throws, the 50-yard bombs to Tyreek Hill, the no-look lasers. But when defenses countered with shell coverages and 3 high safety looks, Mahomes didn't force the issue. He adapted, becoming a more efficient and methodical quarterback. And now, with all the tools back at his disposal, he's prepared to blend both versions of himself, the calculated decision maker and the fearless gunslinger. That's petrifying for opposing defenses. Mahomes summed it up perfectly. Our job is to test the defense down the field. We have to get back to doing that if we want to unlock the other guys underneath. That's a clear message. The deep ball is officially back in the blueprint. And with speed demons like Worthy and Brown, physicality from Rice, and route discipline across the board, defenses are going to crack. Double one guy and another breaks loose. Play soft and they'll slice you up underneath. Blitz and you're toast. It's checkmate football. Let's not forget Hollywood Brown. He was virtually invisible last season, but that's not likely to happen again. Slated to start, opposite Worthy, he brings blazing speed and a fresh opportunity. If he stays healthy, Brown could be the home run threat that forces safeties out of the box and creates lanes for Rice and Royals underneath. And while Kelce's 2024 numbers, 823 yards and 3 touchdowns, were modest by his Hall of Fame standards, he still caught 97 passes and remains Mahomes' most trusted target in crucial moments. But now, he no longer has to carry the entire offense on his shoulders. That balance is exactly what Kansas City needed. Is it worth it? If Pitts thrives, the Chiefs could field an all-time offense. If he underwhelms, the franchise could regret parting with the draft capital. High risk, high reward. Welcome to the Andy Reid era. So, Chiefs Kingdom, we want to hear from you. Is Brazard Smith a real late-round steal? Who do you trust to protect Mahomes' blind side? Simmons, Moore, or Taylor? Would you pull the trigger on a trade for Michael Mayer? Or go full throttle and chase Kyle Pitts? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join our growing community for exclusive daily updates on everything Kansas City. This offseason isn't just about preparation, it's about transformation. See you next time.